Hello and welcome back to Living the Zolkeen. I'm your host 3C Paul, and on today's episode is all about caves. Today is number 6, and the week or the Tracina is the Acabal Tracina. So we got Waki Canil, which is today. We got our special guest live from Mexico City, Apabyan Tew, and he's telling us about the number 6, about caves, and also a really cool Mayan folk story at the end. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode. Check it out.
Hello.
Hey man, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. Fixing some feathers. Feathers are scared, and we have to. Sometimes we have to use even the ones that are damaged and things like that. These ones are not so damaged, but these ones are unique, are albine. It's the tail of a macaw feather bat is plain white. It's an albine. I don't know.
Albino.
It has no color. Yeah, that has no color. So this is an unique kind of feather. So it is better for you to protect them. And well, this is something that it is common to all of us dancers, that we have to make it to take additional care with some of our things. So when I told you that I had time, I saw that you were sleeping, and I said, well, if maybe there's some time to talk a little bit, because I'm going to be very busy from now on, because I'm going to go to see my family in Guatemala. I've been missing them a lot. So there's an opportunity to give a lecture over there for people interested in the Mayan calendar, and I'm going to go to see my family. So I need to do all kind of things from now on. How are you?
I'm really good. My family came to visit me here in Japan a couple weeks ago, and I was hanging out with them for a little while. And it's the summer festival season here, so there's a lot of Japanese festivals. Everyone's getting dressed up in their traditional clothes, and we saw fireworks last weekend, and there's a festival coming up this weekend. It's called Obon, and basically everybody goes home to their family's house, and they visit the graves. So they go visit the grave of their grandparents or their family who's died.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that must be beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's my first time seeing it, but it's very beautiful. Yeah, I got myself. It's called a yukata, and it's like it kind of looks like a house coat, And yeah, I was just I got to participate in the festival last weekend. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, well, let's see. Maybe one day I can go to Japan. Japan.
Yeah, I hope so. I was looking around at some of the universities. I don't really have any contacts here that I know of, but I thought that Latin American studies was a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a good place. Well, and also you are over there, so maybe it's easier. I don't know, but there has been some Mayan spiritual leaders who have traveled to Japan. As far as I know, Tata Rigoberto from Momostenango, and Tata, the other one that is kind of a trickster. The other one,
Alejandro.
Yes, Alexander, the Wandering Wolf. He has been over there, but mostly after 2012 phenomena and during 2012 phenomena. But well,
do you know
maybe.
How or why they came?
Yeah, well, that was it was kind of a pretty obvious thing in the looking at what happened during the 2012 phenomena. In fact, I'm talking about Mayans. That is that Alejandro. That, anyways, he's a Mayan. He's born as a Mayan, and Tata Rigoberto. That is a honest. Ir. But in fact, the people, several kind of new age spiritual leaders has been traveling to Japan because there's always some interest in these cultures. But sadly, only the new agers are traveling all the time to Japan. Maybe all Japan is full of non-Mayan knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know. Like as far as I know, the Mayan, I guess, cosmovision or traditions or whatever are almost unknown here. I've never met anybody that's known anything. But one thing that I find that's kind of peculiar is that a lot of their traditions are kind of similar. Like, for example, when you go into the mountains, there's shrines everywhere, and there's little shops selling candles, and it's just part of the people to there'll be a shrine next to the waterfall, and
Oh wow.
you'll walk up the mountain, and you'll take the candles that you bought down in the parking lot or something like that, and you'll light them at the waterfall, and yeah, stuff like this holiday Obon, where everybody goes to visit the graves and they go bring candles and flowers and they visit their families and they hang out for a couple of days. And they really like fortune telling. Fortune telling's a big thing here. Like, there's a lot of things that I find like.
Yes, yes. Well, they came from an animistic view of our philosophy of the world. It is we have such things in common. When everything is alive, maybe someone can read it, can talk to that, can talk to everything. They sh- uh, I believe we do have those things in common. The
Yeah,
animists.
yeah, animist is a good word. Because like in Canada or whatever, they came with the Christians, right? And so all that stuff, became evil. So if you ever did anything like that, you're a witch or something like that. But here, they never had that. They never had the Christian church telling everybody what to do, what's right and what's wrong, and they have no evangelicals here, really.
Oh well,
It's kind
that's
of.
that's good because I was told a couple of days ago, no, a couple of weeks ago, that Seoul, the capital of Korea, the capital city
Oh,
of Korea,
Korea,
is
yeah.
totally full of Christian people.
It is. Korea is very Christian.
Yeah, and I was told several stories about that, and I was like, "What?
Yeah, it's
Are you
weird.
kidding me?"
It's so
No.
bizarre. I,
Yeah, so bizarre. Yeah.
when I went to Korea, you walk down the street and they have old grandmas handing out coffee. Like they're giving out, hey, do you want some free coffee? And oh, have you heard about Jesus? And they're giving out, pamphlets and yeah, it really feels like it does not belong there, but it's everywhere. And half of the people are just like, oh my god, those people are so weird. Don't talk to them. But then the other half of the people are just really weird.
Yeah, very, very weird because I was told that even the churches are some house apartments and things that are just easily adapted to start a new cult. And everybody's Christian now in Korea. I was amazed. Now you're telling me the same, but
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
wow.
But Japan, no, no, not Japan. Not a chance. Uh, they would. I don't think they would accept it here. Uh,
Yeah, and I would love to talk to spiritual leaders about that, about animism or as I said, for us everything is alive, so everything deserves respect and well, that is the basis for us of almost everything. Everything is alive. It's the first of all the things a real spiritual leader has to say. Everything is alive, so everything reserves there's respect and some dialogue. You may or you must talk to the other, or talk to the wind. There's no problem. To whatever, everything is alive.
I actually have a question. I was wondering this for quite some time. When you go down into the cave and you have a fire, maybe I saw a picture of you in a cave or something. I can't remember why, but what?
Yeah, thinking about me is thinking about caves because I've been working in caves during 18 years or something like that. It has been my life. Yeah, for some of the child of some friends, they say they call me the man of the cave.
Okay. Well, what do you do when you go to the cave? What do you say to the cave, or what happens there?
It's a mouth of the world. Also a vagina, if you wanted to think like that. Is the mouth or the vagina of the world is the place to enter into the cold and the humidity and to enter to the rivers of the inner rivers of the world, the dark place to enter to the ancestors' final place, but only for the physical. The spirit goes to the wind, goes to the breath of the world, and then you go to talk to the earth directly. Sometimes it's feminine, sometimes it's masculine. It depends on the kind of cave you are choosing to go to to make offerings or payments, or even just to go only to as a pilgrimage. You can go to the caves to only for the sake because you want it, because it is beautiful or whatever. I love to go to caves in my personal case because I love to sing. I like to sing. The way in which I do ceremony is by singing. I was prepared as a ceremonial singer. In the caves, there's always this new and fabulous sound that make echoes and that gives you the opportunity to extend your voice. And in a question of moments, you are connected to some other realities, or the same in some other way, or whatever, but with no drugs, or with no nothing but you and your spirit alone in the cave. Besides that, in my personal case, I love the tranquility, the peace, the even the darkness inside the cave, because it allows me to connect directly, to stay to enter into deep and profound meditation during singing. In that moment, for me, is easier to listen to my body and to the movements of my body. That is the this gift that all the well, the good spiritual leaders have in the blood. The blood speaks. So for me, it's tranquil, is peaceful, gives me the opportunity to sing, gives me the opportunity to enter into deeper states, and also how can I say it? It is also for my personal case in my inner spirit. My nahual is tends to be an introvert always, all the time. Maybe it's a key for to try to understand how is what is shamanism. So the cave allows me to be in this kind of let's say cathedral of the world. I'm inside the mother's womb, talking directly. For me, it is a unique opportunity to talk to the Lord, or to the lady, or to the owner of the place, and to heal in a, let's say, in a more tranquil way. There's not much, not much more than that. Obviously, it's very sacred. Obviously, it has not the same connotation as for example, when you go to the top of a mountain. It's a very different kind of a ceremony. You won't choose. Let's say, you always have to choose the proper place and the proper shrine or altar for whatever that you are going to work. It's not the same to work inside a cave to work, or to have to work in the top of a mountain or even the top of a volcano. That's different. Um, in my I love both of them, but in my case, as I said, being or talking or looking at my own nature, I do prefer quiet, tranquil places, even isolated places. I'm not so public, although I look like I'm not so like that.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I'd always wondered that. So, what do you say? Like, it depends on the day or the situation. Like, what do you ask for? Okay.
Yes, it depends. It depends. For example, let's talk about something like, for example, there has been no rain, or the rainy season hasn't come yet, and then you have your own seeds, and then you saw the sky that is like only thunders but no sound, that there's only the sheet lightning but there's no thunder. That's an announce that something is not quite good, that something that the rain is not coming yet. So you can go to the cave and pay for the waters to come, for to complete the cycle, for to ask for the new rain. So the rain is inside the mountain. So you have to pay inside the cave for that rain to come now. You need it. You have to pay. And it depends on your dreams or the day, and even the sometimes even the cave itself. But that's for example, that's an example of why to choose a cave. There are some other examples, but this is one is one of the most common.
So if you're, you enter the cave, and you're talking to the owner of the cave. Um, you you just say thank you for everything until now, and
Sometimes you have to. Sometimes it is not so easy. For example, if it's the first time if it's the first time in a cave,
yeah.
you have to learn, or to ask even maybe to the local people or to the local shaman, which is the name and which is the lord. If they know, maybe you can address. If not, you can talk directly to the owner of the caves, or the owner of the earth, or the owner, feminine or masculine, it doesn't matter. So not necessarily is for to give thanks. It's also, as I said, is the womb of the mother. But remember that in Mayan ways, the earth, it is not really the mother earth, the all protector. For in the ancient ways, not the contaminated ones of now, the earth was violent, even aggressive mother, also protective, yes, but aggressive. Well, the mother contained both characters, the violent and the faithful, the protective and the all giver of things. So you have to enter with very so much care, so much with the proper respect, because if there's a saying that if the cave if you if you're let's say your flavor, what you expel, what it is your irradiation likes to the cave, then the cave is going to take you, and then you're not going to go out from the cave. So you have to talk, to enter, and to give something back for your presence over there.
Very interesting. Um,
The
I
cave, the cave has an entrance to the earth, and sooner or later we are going to go to the mother's womb once again. But you have to be careful because the mother may want you uh, before you want it. So you have to be very careful to enter with very very much respect and with an offering. That's why well in Mayan towns and close to the altars the people say that's why people sometimes get lost inside the caves because they don't pay the proper respect, and reason is maybe the earth is constantly taking people. We come back to the womb once again. We have to return. So in a cave is more dangerous because the earth must say, okay, now you come, now I want you.
um I had a guest on the podcast, and he's not a particularly spiritual guy. He's not a new age guy. He's not even really interested in things like that. But he said there was something that happened in that cave where it was so beautiful. Um, yeah, I was wondering if you could kind of maybe do like do you know anything, like have you ever been to a big have you ever been to like a big would you call it a party in a cave like that, or like a ceremony, or usually
Yes, well, as I told you, well, you can see it in my Facebook profile. I have been a caveman. Cave, the most obvious sign of my ceremonial work is to be always in the caves. I found it fascinating and beautiful. You get isolated from the world. Sometimes you can hear the water inside the world, and sometimes in the middle of the darkness and the silent moods of the earth, you found something extra, very peculiar, and all the ceremonies goes. The sound goes better. The sound goes amplified, and that gives you the sense of being in a very special mm, moment for you because you are isolated. You're not so full of the presence of all things. You have not so stimuli as in being in the middle of a mountain surrounded by the clouds, the animals, or the forest, the wind, whatever. In this place you are almost isolated along with your along with your tortured soul. So you have to pay attention to what are you doing over there. Sometimes there's people that feels claustrophobia and things like that. But I feel so. It is more the fear, a kind of a fear that has to be with yourself, not with the cave, but with you, something inside you. The ceremonies are performed, as I say, for different purposes, and they last a little bit longer. And yes, they are beautiful. Just imagine for example, in the sense in which I was told, in the sense in which I do those ceremonies, is like this also making the inner part of the earth like an sky, like a bóveda del cielo. I don't know which is the word, bóveda, the sky. And you can put, or you can have, hundred of little candles that looks like stars in the middle of the sky. So sometimes, and depending on the ceremony, you are making this fantastic atmosphere as to be, although being inside the mother, being also in the depths of the cosmos, because everything is surrounded by candles. So the views are spectacular and accompanied by these vaporous and this presence of all the smoke and the singing makes a very unique experience to be in the cave, really. You
Wow.
get, yeah, you get more mystical in a moment, but as I told you, in my case it's a personal inclination. I used to I have been working on caves. My mostly of my work has been done in caves, and I love to work over there. Also, there's another thing. There are caves in which some of our ancestors were buried. So the remainings, their physical remainings are over there. So there's a plus in some of all of them. You know they are there over there. The ones that gives you this knowledge are over there. Nobody knows so the exact place, but they are over there with you. So you can put the candles and feel. Sometimes it's cold. There are caves that are so cold, but there are some very hot caves, and but it is on you. It is on you. It is a very peculiar experience to work, for example, in the waterly cold caves, because we work mostly with fire and hearing the sounds of the water flowing with you. So, as I said, it's a very profound, deep, and personal experience. The cave helps to close stimuli to enter into mostly into you, and but then as I told you, you also may have or you need to go to the point of the mountains or some volcanoes because it's the proper thing in a proper ceremony or for a proper result of something you were asked to do or to deal with.
What
Uh,
what would be a good example of a time where it was appropriate to go to a top of a mountain?
for example, when the time the sunny season, when the cold is going to finish, and there's going to be this now the change in the weather, and then there's the coming or the arrival of the sunny season. You have to go. Sometimes you have to pay for, let's say, for example, you invest some money that was very painful for you to invest to gain, and you now are going to open a new business or something. It is better to go to the top of the mountain to ask for a more masculine and solar energy to help you to begin to have a good initiation or to have a good first step. And the beginning of the sunny season, and also when giving thanks about some fortune or some good times you have been having, when also when there's these moments in which there are in these special ceremonies of the Mayan calendar, as for example the day of the fire, the day of the New Year's, Mayan New Year's, is better in a mountain. Also, the day of the house, the day of the family, the day of the wind. You may go to the top of a mountain to have a good quantity of wind and sun to stay in a more close to the masculine, more close to the sun.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the narwhals and the owners of the cave. So sorry to
Yeah,
side. Yeah, yeah. So when
give
you
me just one moment,
yeah yeah
because this is glue, and
you have
I
to
need to.
you have to move quickly.
Yeah, yeah, I finished now. But look at this. I'm so full of this. Wait a little. Wait for your answer. Just let me do this thing.
For those of you who can't see, Apapyan's been winding thread around feathers and gluing feathers to stuff. It's really
Okay.
interesting to see, actually. um, yeah, I wanted to ask like about the narwhals of the caves, like uh, particularly like when I think of a cave, I think of Akabal, and
Bye.
when you said the
Ish.
owner of the cave, I thought about Emosh.
Now, emotions must deal with waters, but if inside the cave there's water, maybe there's another owner. You have to ask permission to the earth that is mostly always related to Nahual Ish Balam.
Ish is the earth, not Emosh.
Yeah, Ish is
Okay.
the earth.
Ish
Ish
is
is
okay.
mother. Ish is the mother. Ish is the earth. Ish is the mother. Ish is the earth. But as I told you, it's not quite really good to say the Mother Earth. In the old and ancient prayings, there was no word as Mother Earth. It was well, now but returning is now well Ish Balam. It is the earth. At least in the Kiche Mayan calendar is Nawal Ish.
Okay. So when you go into the cave, you're asking Nawel Ish.
Yeah. And but there's difference because there are caves inside a mountains, and in that case maybe the owner is a masculine one because it's a mountain. There are difference, or sometimes there are caves that are more related to the earth because they go directly down to the earth. It depends on the kind of the cave. There are dry, and there are some so wet um, caves. The more the wet and the more the cold and the more going down is more feminine, obviously. But it's more feminine, and it is more related to the womb, to the vagina, or to a feminine way to see things. But there are caves that go upstairs in mountains, inside volcanoes, or big mountains. Those are masculine caves. So you have to pay attention to things like that in order for you to know to what to pray or to what to talk properly. You are not going to insult something. You're it is not supposed that you are going to do it. In Mayan ways, you have no, let's say, there's not like, oh well, I didn't know, but it's the owner, he knows. Nah, nah, nah. You may not make that mistake because there's the possibility that you don't go out that cave. So it is better if you are or to have skills to talk to the mountain. But mostly, as I said, you may see what kind of cave are you choosing to work in.
Very interesting. I wanted to ask if you knew any stories about a cave.
Yeah, there are too much stories about the cave. One of them, there are too many, in fact. Uh, as for example, the place in which are all the treasures of the world, the gold and everything. That's one of the most common stories about. But there's also, as I told you, this story that talks about that in the sense of that we have to return sooner or later. We have to return to the earth, and the cave may take you, may want you. There's also these Mayan ceremonial ways in which you can talk to the earth, or to talk to the cave directly, to ask for your sons to not to be taken, and that you offer a chicken, as for example. I have, but for example, that you in some common let's say, as a practice, daily practice, you send your kids to take water from a cave, and so you every 9 months you have to pay for to the cave for taking that water, and for not to take your children, so you pay a chicken. So you take, you give back. That's something that is proper to the Mayan way of to see the world and to see balance in the world. We are not in here just to take what has been given to us. That's a lie for us. If you take, you try to give back 3 times. That's a Mayan rule. Well, the first rule is never take more than what you need. But the second if you have to take, or if you must take, try to give back 3 times what you took, because it's not yours, it's your children's, or it's the next's. And in the cave, those rules are constantly also applied, that you may not take something from the cave, or if you take, you have to pay back what you take, even if it's your only presence, because it's a sacred place.
So, what is an example of paying something
Of what?
back? Like you used the example of a chicken. Is there anything else you could do?
Well, there's the ceremony itself. The ceremony itself can be done to pay to the cave. As for example, as I told you, um, you saw that this is mid-February in the highlands, high in the mountains, and you saw that after a week there has been only sheet linings in the sky, and you saw that there's no sound, there's no thunder, there's no that is like a jaguar, and also that is a masculine when it sounds like a metallic sound. But you only saw the lighting. That is but during several days, that is an announce that the rain is not going to come sooner. You have to prepare. Then you go to a cave. In this case, it can be the 3 different ones, but you may choose the one of a mountain. The mountain must not be so big, it's not so necessary, so you can go to a number 6 that is called the middle of a mountain. And then you pay and you ask for the rain. The rain is inside the mountain. Then, let's say a week if you're powerful, or a couple of weeks if you're mostly a good. But anyways, if the rain comes, then you come back later to the cave to pay for the rain, and then you give thanks, giving food, giving blood to the earth, giving something in a payment for what you asked. Everything is also, in Mayan ways, everything is also taking. Being that everything is alive, you must talk back to something. You ask for something, it was given to you, then you pay back. Then you came to say, okay, hello, thank you, or this is my present to you, in order for you to keep on listening on me. It's a continuous dialogue. For us in Mayans, is always a continuous dialogue with the others in this world.
It's very beautiful and very contrasting to how I grew up. You know, we didn't hear that kind of stuff coming from our parents. That's for sure. Yeah, very, very interesting and fascinating. You mentioned in that story the number 6 halfway up the mountain.
Yeah, I'm going to explain that. because it's a very interesting thing, and I think no, I think it hasn't been said, and I'm going to say just a little bit. Wait a moment. You know the glue.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, for anybody who can't see this, Apabyan is running around with feathers and glue, and he's tying everything up with a bunch of thread or something. I'm not quite sure, but it's really interesting to see. I think what he's doing is making a headset, if I'm not mistaken. But I've never made any kind of headdress thing out of feathers before, so it's just a guess.
Okay, now it's because we have to move fast, because if not, the glue is going to get hard, and then
Yeah,
that is not a good thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, now there's this way in which the Mayan calendar goes in different levels. In this case, the numbers. So you are talking. When talking about this, you can talk about from the level of human appreciation. So from the level of the earth, it doesn't matter if it's in the coast or is in let's say in the valleys, in the mountains. It depends on the on the on the ground. So all the places in which and the counting goes from 1 to 13 to the top, and 1 to 13 going down. This is something quite peculiar. So the places in which there's water, caves or water, or earth springs, and are the number one. Those are the number one places in which you can perform ceremonies for the beginning of something, the nurturing, the first step, or the initiation or something, also for the number one numbers in the Mayan calendar. And going up, number 6 represents the cave because it's in the middle. It's like the I have the word. Belly button. Navel.
Yeah.
Belly button.
Okay, my assistants, you know her. So there's so going up, you are going. Oh, you can also soon number 2, 3, 4, 5, but in this case I'm going to talk only about 1, 6, and 13. So number 1, as I said, is the water place, is the beginning, the initiation, the first step, the nurturing. It is the water from the earth. Going up, number 6 are all the caves in the sense that they are the belly button, the navel of the earth. But also, it is like the vagina, the entrance to the world. It is also a mouth. Depending on the cave, as I already said, if the cave goes down, if the cave goes up, if it is a wet, if it is a dry, it depends. But all the caves are number 6, are the middle. And going up, there's a number 13 that is going to be the volcano. As for example, all the mountains are mostly number 10. The mountains that surround the towns that are higher than the most of the common are number 12, for example. But to choose a volcano that is higher than everything is number 13. It's a more masculine and powerful place to do that. Same thing for the Asak, that is the ancient temples of our ancestors, what we call now pyramids. It is the same. in the bottom, in the place down in the earth, you perform ceremonies for number one. But there are too many pyramids or temples or at the red building, as we said, that has also a cave beneath the temple. So you can work the number six over there in the feminine sense. And then going upstairs to make payments or sacrifice or whatever, that is going to be the number 13. And you will associate what you want for example, number one, that is the beginning, number six, that is the middle, and it is the womb, and it is gestation moment, and number 13, that is inception, that is masculine, that is solar, and that is sometimes is the completion, the payment, the sacrifice moments. You can choose depending on what you choose, on what you need, or even sometimes the size of that problem or the size of what you're asking. You are going to choose the number one, number six, or number 13 to perform your ceremony. You can do it in the construction of our ancestors that has the same levels 1 6 13, 1 6 10, 12 13, or you can choose in nature the same, to go to a spring, number one, to go to a cave, number six, or to go to a top of a mountain, 12, 10, or 13. You can choose. You may choose also the proper moment, if in the morning, if in the midday, or even in the midnight. So you have to work, you have to wisely choose, because let's say the energy, or what is the irradiation, or what is the result of this relationship between the earth and the sky is going to be the surrounding atmosphere, or the surrounding energy, or it is what is going to be with you at performing ceremonies. So you may have this knowledge to do things.
Wow, that's a lot of information to take in. Um, uh, Very interesting. I've never thought about a cave as a number six before. I'll have to think about that one for the next couple weeks. Uh, what about the number eight? I heard that was an important ceremonial day. You didn't mention it.
Yeah, but number eight, because of another thing that is not properly talking or speaking about the size of a pyramid or a mountain. Number eight represents the Shpech, we said, the returning, something that has to return. So, for example, for human beings, so close, so related, and so dependent to the mind, not to the spirit, not to the soul or to the inner dialogue, proper spiritual, good inner dialogue with the heart. Number eight may represent what you can, what in your mind is prediction, because something that returns, something that repeats itself, tends to produce this sense that as in the first law of our thermodynamics, every action has a reaction. So number eight represents what returns. Cheek, we said in Mayan. And now the key. When something returns without knowing the incitation of that return, the mind goes crazy. It's when you said, why is this always happening to me? Why I'm always doing the same? Why this happens to me? Why I cannot get out of this? It's because we saw that there are energies, now ones, or as we said, associated with number eight, that has a return without incitation. It's a return without incitation. It's beyond the laws of the physical world. So number eight is a very key now to a study, because because he is going to explain what has a natural inner cycle of actions, and that you have to study that because it is not always going to be related with your own actions. Not all the time that you are going to receive pain is because you look for pain, or not always that you are in the middle of joyness, let's say, it's because you did something good. So maybe it's just a cyclical way of your own energies to working you. So number 8, it is chosen in the Mayan calendar to pay for the returning, let's say in the good sense, as the time that returns to the initiation of the year, and also to stop returning things, as for example pain, and goes beyond the mind, but the mind can conceive that not all the things that you receive is the result of something that you do. There are also cyclical things beyond you, and that is one of the most important key things in the Mayan calendar, to understand cycles.
Yeah,
That something
I definitely
that
think
something has to return.
I remember a long time ago you mentioned that the rain was like a metaphor for the number 8, and I've been thinking about that ever since. Whenever the rain comes, I look at it that way, and I've actually found that really helpful. Um,
Yeah, and it will return. But for example, sometimes you get, or us as as spiritual leaders, we get or we listen to stories of people that constantly we say we listen to that all the time. There's even no dialogue in which you get no mention about this. When a person told you, I don't know why am I acting like this. I cannot get out of this pain. From time to time something happens to me. Every May of every year I receive this, or something like that. Or I cannot stop drinking. I cannot stop whatever. And sometimes it's related to a structure that we can study in the composition of Nawals that we saw from the Mayan calendar, and we know that some Nawals do. Nawals also, they do what they have to do. They already are what they are. They need no learning from you. They are structures or energies or structures of the universe. So they don't ask for permission to you to do what they already are. They do what they have to do. They do their nature. And same way, rain is going to return sooner or later. Most of the composition of your own nature has elements to return. So maybe that could be associated with pain, or with good luck, or with knowledge. For example, people that is 8 thought, or wasqeb no in the Mayan calendar, they are good thinkers because they return in the process of knowledge. They are good thinkers,
I love
even
that.
even heavy thinkers.
I love that. You could just look at someone and go, "You're a washkeb." No, you're a good thinker, and you know that about them immediately. It's like there's no question about it. Uh, that's really amazing, actually. Um, Very, very cool. Yeah, I don't know if you have one or not. I'll try to ask you again. If there is some sort of a folk story that you can recall about any kind of a cave. If not, it's all
Oh
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. There's well, I knew so much, as I told you, and it seems that is most well. This is a shaman's way, so we listen always, all the time, stories, and we ended up having hundreds of stories. There's one famous that is known about the owner of a certain cave in Guatemala. In fact, there's a mountain, very high and very beautiful because all the time is surrounded by fog and it's smoky and misty all the time in the mornings. Look at this. This is my flute. Okay, the glue is already.
Can you play a song? You gotta. Can you? I'm sure you could probably rock. Yeah, it looks like a pipe.
Yeah, but this is a flute. But also, she needed a reparation, so I was just looking at the glue. Um, there's this mountain, this very, very, very big mountain, and very beautiful, as I told you. Misty and foggy all the time. There's no, let's say, in distance, you can saw it like being that it's always rounded by clouds. It gives a little fear, produces a little fear in people, Mayans and not Mayans. You know, there's a mystical place. It is said that there are these dances in Guatemala in which certain moments of the year you have you can participate, but you know the customs and all the paraphernalia of the dancers is not really, sometimes it's not really so, it is expensive. There so much of the things are expensive, the feathers, the bells, the neck collars, the masks, the clothing itself. So there was this poor man that was that went to to that mountain to collect some firewood wood, and then he got lost in the mountain. But he knows that this mountain was a very, we say, delicate, a place in which you have to be tranquil. He was in the middle of the foggy. Then he got seated in a rock, and he begins to cry. But not because being lost in the mountain, but because he wanted to dance in the next fiesta of the town. But he was so poor that he said, "Oh, I will not have the opportunity to go and dance because I'm so poor. I have no money." And he was in the middle of that when he heard a very spectacular sound behind him, and it was like the sound of a jaguar. But was happening was that the mountain was opening itself. That's why jaguars also are related to caves. And well, in this moment it begins to raining here, and there are too much thunders. And then in the middle of the cave, that always has been there, but only opens when the owner of the mountain wants. A little dwarf came from inside the cave, and that little red one dwarf, that is not feminine, neither feminine nor masculine, that is only a pure essence, came from the cave. She was the owner of the mountain and the owner of all treasures in the world. And he said, "Why are you crying, my man?" And the man said, "Oh, Mam Kushol is the name. Although mam is masculine, it is considered, as I said, a pure essence, neither masculine. But he said, "Oh, Mam Kushol, I want to dance, and I know you own all the treasures of the world. Could you please help me when to get my paraphernalia? You have all the treasures in the world. I can see how they shine from here. They are only inside the cave." And Mam Kushel said, "Yes, I can give you. I can give you what you want because you are a good dancer. But there's only one condition, and there's no way to negotiate that. I will give you everything, but you must not tell anyone who gives you these things." And instantly, Mamkoshol was gone. The mountain's mouth or cave was closed, and the foggy and the fog and mist and the everything suddenly went gone, and the man was with the clothing in his hands, the mask, the clothing, the bells, the feathers, everything pure from the owner of the mountain that has this power to open and to close the entrance of the world. There is the owner of the caves also. So he went to the fiesta, he went to the town, and everybody was amazed about the custom, the feathers, the way the dancer did his movements. But as in all fiestas and with all dancers, he get drunk. So at the beginning he was not saying anything. He wouldn't say anything, but in the end he ended so drunk that in one moment, when asked about these customs, he said, "I was given from Mamkoshol, the owner of the cave and the owner of treasures in the world, the owner of the mountain." And in that moment, a swirl of wind came from him and take it to the mountain. The mouth of the earth opens, and the custom and the man was swallowed by the mountain, and the mountain closed. So what we are told for our grandfathers is that there are many levels to talk about this story. One of those is that you have to be respectful with everything. Most of all, not to tell things. A quiet person is better than someone that is always speaking things. Try to not to be so bright. If you get rich or if you get something that is fancy or shining or whatever, be quiet. Also, if the owner of a mountain asks you something, just do it. Don't be playing fool. Don't be a clown. You got the opportunity to talk to the owner. Don't foolish. Don't be a fool with that. And I think in all the levels, it is speaking about being humble to the world. You can shine, you can dance, you can have all the fancy things that you want, but you may remain humble to the world. Not because you cannot, not because they are going to judge you. This is not Christianism. This is not to be humble to gain the heavens or to pass proofs. This is humbleness in the sense that you belong to the world. you if you deserve to be lucky, that's good, but don't use that as a weapon to hurt the others. Better if you share what you are or what you want, but not to be so this clowning and shining and this is this this Donald Trump character
Let's bring it back.
always talking about you. That's not the proper way to talk to the earth or to talk to anyone, because you at the end are going to die. So it is also a metaphor of the life. I don't know if you can see it. It is also a metaphor that in the end you're going to be swallowed by the earth. With all the shine that you have, you're going to end in over there by your
I
own.
never saw that. Yeah, that's true. And you go back to the earth.
And then you after what you shining or not shining, but if shining, anyways, you're going to end in the world. So be as happy as you can, help as much as you can, try to be humble, not because you deserve wellness or richness or happiness, but because this is the only opportunity. You have to seize what was given to you.
Apabyan, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. It was once again amazing talking to you. I love the stories. Actually, I've become a huge fan of the stories. I have to get off to work and get my day
Yeah,
started.
and I have to do things also. Okay, we finished.
All right, dude. Have a good one. I'll talk to you again. Well, there was another super awesome episode with Apabyan Tew. I learned a lot. Once again, I just want to say special thanks to our guest, Apabyan, and a special thanks to all of our listeners. Don't forget to hit subscribe on iTunes, and if you want to leave a review, iTunes is the best place. If you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up on Facebook. And don't forget to hit up all the caves, mountaintops, streams, and all the places that we mentioned in this episode. I just want to say, everybody, have a wicked awesome Akabal Tracina for number 6 star Wakiv Kanil. All right, everyone. Peace and love, and keep on living the Zolkeen. I'm out.